Hello, 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 Sawadee Cup. My name is Chris Redmond.
Hi there, my name's Liv Talk. Welcome. How are you all doing today? Yeah?
We are Hot Poets. Hot Poets is a project that we have been running for a few years in which we partner poets with scientists and architects and farmers and change makers in the climate space. And today we are here to share a brand new film that we've commissioned with a Bangkok-based poet and based on the work of Kochakon Vora who we're going to introduce to the stage shortly. But before we do that, we thought we would tell you a little bit about the wider project and what we're doing and why we're doing it. We work with an organization called Resilience Frontiers, which is part of the UNFCCC. The UNFCCC Resilience Frontiers is a project that imagines better futures, imagines a 2050 in which so many of the challenges that we are here to discuss have been solved, and that we are able to live fruitful and resilient and adapted and content lives. And that applies to all of us, to everyone. So we are writing poems based on the work of people who are going to help us get to this future.
Yes, I'm going to stand up because obviously then you can see my amazing skirt, which is the only reason. So we're working with the Resilience Frontiers, who are just like one block up, and we've been creating poetry with them around amazing projects that are happening around the world and internationally, looking at these futures, because if we can imagine the futures, we've got a better chance of getting there. And as artists, we found a really great role here at COP for the last few years of responding to the wonderful things that are happening and writing about them. We're going to launch, we're showing a couple of live poems. You're very lucky to get that first before we share the film of Blue's work. Chris, would you like to start with a poem?
I'm going to start with a poem. This is a brand new piece that we just launched this week. I wrote it in partnership with the company 3M, who are a global tech company and who are doing a lot of work on green tech. And so I spoke with 3 scientists. We had conversations about the crossover between art and science and looking at innovation and creativity in science and how we perceive that and how we need to harness creativity in order to create the changes that are necessary at scale and pace. So this is a piece inspired by those conversations. This is called Blink. Blink once. For 20 years. Click 3 times. Do you see it? A future. What color's yours? This is an exercise in learning how to see with our eyes closed. It's how every book is written. How a child springs from birth to roller skating backwards listening to Aretha Franklin. We made electric lights and computers in our palms. We learned to navigate oceans by studying stars. We've got game in the unknown. Here, we drink clean water. Air is pure. Earth has been handed back to itself. Great apologies have been made and accepted. Forests and cities sing in symbiosis, harmonizing the clang and funk of species that once teetered on edges. You can get an electric bus anywhere. You can recharge your AI assistant whilst growing your own broccoli. Know your own footprints and how and where to balance the marks you make. How to take in exchange. We build in circles. Waste is a dirty word. Profit comes in many measurements. We are no longer frogs, slowly boiling ourselves. Anyone can paint a picture if we close our eyes. But how do we get here? Today, I ask 3 scientists. Jay Shree tells me we need better stories with different ideas of what science can be. PhD in chemical engineering, Hall of Famer, smart mischief in her eyes. She grew up in northern India in a family of engineers. Swapped their question of how does this work for her own. How can I help? 30 years and 80 patents later, she's still asking. Jens explains to me the meaning of spazieren denken, a German phrase for thinking while walking, how the best ideas arrive in nature, how the default mode network is the brain's screensaver. Innovations, keys, cracked codes flicker to light when we sit under apple trees. He's leading on the green hydrogen economy. His Zoom background is a pen-drawn light bulb. In Minnesota, Corey is all gym arms, t-shirt, and lab goggles. He read the IPCC report with fellow scientists and asked, "What do we need?" He tells me how he and his team have built filters that extract CO2 from air and how each method of trapping and containing it is a sped-up version of what nature does. What is the collective noun for scientists who care? A question? An inquiry? A collaboration? I know none of these are nouns. Sometimes we have to think outside, because innovation doesn't know boundaries. It doesn't conform. It challenges us to create, to transform, chanting change songs, painting visions of safety in every color of every alphabet, whilst harnessing hydrogen to green steel, electric car batteries humming circular symphonies, turbines like great kinetic dandelion sculptures, smart energy grids responding to our every step. This is the biggest work of art we've ever made, and it's going to take all of us. The responsibility to lead the change lies with those who are willing to change how we lead, how we pose a question. Blink. Do you see it? Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. One of the things that we did as part of this project, which I highly recommend, if you want to engage people, it isn't just by showing them things, it's about encouraging them to participate. That isn't a threat, I promise. We ran a project looking at the Resilience Frontiers, four of their pathways to a better world. We invited people from around the world to send us haiku and photographs, and we made films, and we're going to share one of these now. And it's got a couple of pictures of Koch's work in it. And this is the first pathway, transforming humanity's relationship with nature. And these are all participants have sent their haikus and photos in for this. So we're going to show you this. So this was an amazing way of getting people to think about the future and come up with ideas, their own ideas and haikus. We've printed some of them out, and it's kind of, this is a bit magical. So you get to pick one blind. This is your message this is your haiku message from the universe. Chris, do you want to give some of these out? Have a look at it. We're going to come around and see if anyone wants to see what this is. This is going to guide you for the rest of COP. What are you going to get? That's your one.
What is egret?
Oh, it's a type of bird. It's
Type of bird.
yeah, it's like a type of an eagle, I think.
I see. Thank you. Beautiful.
Anyone else? Anyone else want? Who hasn't got one? And who would like to? Anyone find it quite resonant? These are secret messages. Anyone want to share what they have? Oh, Adelia, you can. What do you have?
So I got. What would it be like if everyone just shared things? No one was grabbing.
So what would it be like if everyone just shared things, no one was grabbing? And I love the inflatable orange man. What would it be like?
Well, it will be more an equable access to things, to services, to everything that is needed and is there to everybody access and use it without have to property or that's what I think.
Absolutely. Anyone? Thank you, Adelia. Anyone else? Yes.
Can you take a picture?
Of course, yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, thank you so much. The message is bosses is bonuses. We fund blanket employees wellness scheme instead. That is very good message. I think the climate financing should be go to those who are most vulnerable, not just the companies are big corporates, the targeted ones. We need targeted bonuses for the climate effecties as well. Thank you so much.
I took a little video and a photo. There we are. Anyone else got an idea on their haiku they want to share that they feel resonates? Anyone got one? And anyone? I feel that you have. I can see it in your face.
Yes. It's white egrets, red kites, enjoy air we have cleaned up, this world and plummet by Gail Webb. Beautiful.
Show this card. And what does that one mean to you?
I think the air is the most important thing, the clean one, and we need to preserve it and share with other creatures like egrets and even objects like kites that makes the world beautiful. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. That's a wonderful interpretation. Anyone else got one they want to share? Yeah.
All companies clean themselves to net positive. Profit means clean air.
And to you, what does that?
We make together and make clean energy and to make a net positive carbon. And the world will be better.
We'll be better. We're going to work together to make the air clean.
Yeah.
And that was one
Thank
of
you.
Chris's haikus, I think. Thank you so much. Anyone else got one? Some people get quite personal ones. Chris, did you get one?
I didn't take one.
Take one. Did you take one? What did you get? They're hiding it. Too personal. Some of them get quite personal. Did you get that again? Do you want to explain what you got, Chris?
Mine says, "Hey, Futures Exchange, can I swap dystopia? It's such a bum deal." Yeah, so we're looking away from dystopias, more to utopias. How do we imagine the world that we want, and then what are the pathways to get there? Do you want to do a? Let's get Koch up. So although
Where has Koch gone? Koch. She's outside.
she's outside, just having a conversation. Maybe you
I can
do your poem, and then we'll get Koch up.
Are you? Well, So I've written a couple of poems for this project. I wrote one about an amazing project called Urban Relief, which is looking at citizen scientists working in 6 European cities and using sensors and heat data and pollution data that they have they carry around with them to record the data about their cities. And these are cities that are really being affected by climate change, particularly heat stress. And the project's all about how you work with local councils to take that data to create new green cities of the future. That project's going to roll out globally. It's a really exciting project. It's currently a European project. And I've written this poem called Super Sleuths of the Streets, and it requires a very big drink of water, as living in heat-stressed cities does. I like to think they're clapping for me. Yeah, Koch, I'm having to do a poem to fill in to wait for you. I mean, this is Mel, you know Mel Woods. Yeah, this is her project. This is a poem about her project, which is Urban Relief, which is happening in 6 European cities. It's looking at citizen science and how citizens are recording data for local councils to help them reshape and regreen their cities. And this is a project that's going on for 4 years and hopefully will roll out. And it's called Super Sleuths of the Streets. In 6 sizzling cities, citizen scientists are waking up, switching on, green designing the school run, their sensors, talking to satellites. It's chatty today in the data streams, the observatories observe. Streets and parks are alive with climate action, people reclaiming their future with ecosystems mapping, their invisible lab coats flapping. 10 years from now, their data power will be flowering across continents. Future Athens, crumbling under a blowtorch sun, resprung by pocket parks, friendship clubs, street adoptions. Now 10 years' time is sharing easing climate tensions with Mannheim, Germany's city of inventions, where wise elders are uploading an oasis of oak, witch hazel, cherry into a living, writhing encyclopedia of the earth. Then surfing southwest to Cascais, barreling a heat wave, mapping hotspots under purple jacaranda trees. Temperatures rising in the Portuguese streets to meet the scorched concrete of Utrecht, where vulnerable communities without private land luxuries are creating clever public gardens for their families, transforming the heat islands of the Netherlands into shady, cool sanctuaries. Then traveling up the data stream to Riga, where the unbendable now bend, breathe clean Latvian air again, strike yoga poses by garden roses, paint a grey city green. Then west, across the steel streak of the North Sea to the green parks and Scottish treks of Dundee, where people have been redesigning their parks to hold the communities with fierce dignity, like a seagull holds a chip. In just a decade, migrant choirs and men's sheds, citizen councils and shared veg beds, tree canopy habitats spiraling outwards to connect to geomap neighborhoods, to connect ecosystems to bee colonies, outdoor hospitals to a green space revolution. And on the nights of the full moon, people gather in pop-up story stadiums to watch reenactments of their city's forgotten legends, pausing for a moment to remember the lives they left, at first unwilling, clinging to astroturf and concrete like talisman, before they became citizen scientists, super sleuths of the streets, syncing sensors with sensors, so that the people who make policy can smell what they smell, burn like they burn. 6 green cities of the future, rooted in trust, togetherness, resilience, and the brilliance of the all-new inclusive local council meetings centered around the coffee mugs on the big round table by the picture window, where soft light falls on the red berries of a rowan tree, which connect us to the seasons and teach us to let go, die, change, and be reborn. Find each other in the climate storms that are coming with a renewed sense of belonging and belief. in a world changed for the better by urban relief. Thank you. All few of you who are on your phones, you can clap and make me feel like that you were here. And thank you. That's an amazing project called Urban Relief. Please check it out. Chris, it's time for us to launch this very incredible poem.
Thank you, Liv. So we were lucky enough to be invited to a meeting of Resilience Frontiers in Botswana, where a wonderful selection of human beings gathered, scientists, architects, tech specialists, indigenous academics, all coming together to envision this future, this extraordinary future of 2050, and to start to map the pathways to get there. And whilst we were there, I had the pleasure and privilege of meeting Kochikon Varaakom. I hope I've pronounced that at least some way in the right direction. And we had a conversation, and I was asking about her work, and she told me about the projects that she was doing in Bangkok. Kochikon is a landscape architect and designer who is transforming public spaces in Bangkok to adapt to the changing climate and the rising water levels. We had this conversation, and I was so inspired. I said, Liv, you have to meet Koch. This is amazing. We have to make a poem. So 18 months later, and quite some considerable funding applications and a big project, we were very lucky to be able to include the work of Kochikon in our new collection of international projects. And I would like to invite to the stage now Kochikon to perhaps introduce the work that you're doing so we can see the film. So please, can we have a round of applause for Kochikon?
Thank you. Yes. So this is the park. So I'm actually going to talk about canals. I think people understand and know Bangkok from the term Venice of the East. Have you heard about this term? No. Probably some other colonizer, I'm sorry, come to our land and say, yeah, you look like Venice, so let us call you Venice of the East. And now that Venice is actually sinking, we should call Venice Bangkok of the West, because we're also sinking as well. And the reason, one of the reasons that we couldn't deal well with water, because the change of the lifestyle. And this is us maybe 50, 60 years ago. So now, no, sorry. Now this is us. So you can see that we have changed. Our relationship with nature has changed. We probably not prioritize it as life anymore. This is more like a sewage way. And the place for all leftover infrastructure that have no space in the city. And I'm happy and very honored to work to serve my nation, my country, my city with one of the most expensive area of one canal called Chong Non Si. This is what as is. And it is me talking with the previous governor of Bangkok, ท่านอัศวินขวัญเมือง convincing him, telling him that in both for us to survive, to thrive the climate change, to thrive with the water, we need to look into our canals. And yes, and later on, 16 months later, the project has been implemented. And it's the first step, but it's just the beginning of the leftover 1,600 canals in my city.
Wow. And are you going to do similar work to all 1,600 of those? Can you use that one? Are you going to continue doing this kind of work in other canals?
I would love to, but I don't think myself, one person would be enough for another 1,600 canals. Yes, But yeah, I would love to. So I just feel that it's not just a one-man show, one group of people kind of work. It's a whole nation. The city-wide the community needs to come together.
Shall we watch the film and then we could talk a little bit about the process and the
Yes,
project?
this is going to be my first time seeing this film about my work. And thank you so much to include this within your project.
Pleasure. So this film will be released tomorrow. So this is the first time it's been aired
It's
publicly.
very exciting. It's premiere, world premiere. It's a world premiere. And even the person it's about hasn't seen it. So if we all watch Koch's expression.
My darling, you tell me that this city leaves you lonely. I want to tell you, it's not your fault. You cannot breathe. Bangkok hasn't been made for the likes of us, creatures nursing a thirst we cannot name. The modernists made a mistake. They forgot that Bangkokians are amphibians walking on two legs. Our ancestors lived with one foot in the dirt, the other in the water. They built canals so that the city could breathe. Started out as moats to slow down armies, then came the trade routes and the boathouse, then the children swimming before they knew how to speak. Our klongs, once blood vessels that cleansed us, are now left contaminated, amputated, resources regulated to make room for road cement paving over water like graves. And now the rainwater doesn't know where to go. We panic when it's wet season again, waterphobic as we watch the ghost of the 2011 flood shiver in October rain. Now as sea level rises, Bangkok is sinking 2 centimeters every year. But a wise woman once told me that it's inhumane cities that turn seasonal change into seasonal disaster. So when I told her that our city is drowning, she answered with parks designed for the sinking, reimagined klongs rejuvenated by rerouting water flow, borrowed from wetland wisdom to dance with the seasons, carved retention pools for when flood arrives, and make sunset theaters out of SkyTrain skeletons. Through her eyes, I see this biophilic regrafting where by the time it's 2050, Bangkok is porous and amphibious enough to ride a rising ocean. Parks filled with great trees, root systems to stop torrents, terrace gardens growing fruits for the plucking, roads cracked open, klongs resurrected, filled with water so clean you can drink from. A future more jungle than concrete, where streets beckons the name of songbirds as 1,000 words for living beyond survival. Our children would know by the hums of cicadas joining the chorus of sun-powered engines. Our existence is dependent upon all that is alive and breathing, every whisper of a wingbeat, every flutter of a fin. My darling, you are lonely because you have limbs aching for soil, where us and pomegranates are made and unmade in the same language. So the next time you cannot breathe, know that in Cheongnon-si, an urbanist made you a seat. Glimpse here a future where nature is at the center. Humans no longer owners but cohabitants at the service of fragile and precious things. A spot for us to return klong-bound, to nurse that thirst we're yet to name.
Wow, impressive. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Blue. Somewhere back to Thailand, yes. Yes, to nurse the thirst is such a word that cities become very thirsty. We drink more, we need more water, but we don't even taking care of our natural infrastructure. Yes.
Just changing a battery. Blue, who is the wonderful poet, met with you and you had conversations and she toured around the park. Thank you so much. I'm just interested in, so you've just seen it for the first time. We are all about partnering artists with people who are doing amazing work like yourself. What has the collaboration felt like for you, from having those initial conversations with us to meeting Blue to seeing that? What can that do for you and for others?
I think, well, this is my first time hearing what Blue have create, and I just feel that wow, it's actually. It took me so much to build this work, but it actually can be equal that we just deep listening to those poems. So I just feel that the emotional driven is equal, right? Like you put so much to the public space, and you want people to feel that, and it's equal to her poem. Like yeah, I want this not only just passing by kind of destination, but I want people to feel what she just said in her poem. Yes.
You feel she's captured the reasons for it and the kind of the heart of the work?
Yeah, the reason for the doer or the reason for people in Bangkok as a citizens and the reason of how we should regenerate our relationship with human and nature. So it's deep, it's in many levels.
That seems to be something that, from what I understand, is a big driver for you, is it's about considering culture and history and how you reintegrate some of the long-held traditions in contemporary society. So like, you're an artist yourself, right?
Yes, I'm artists in some form, right? Like landscape architects use nature, but we need aesthetic and beauty to connect to other human beings, how they use our space as well. Yes.
And I'm interested in, I'm conscious of time and needing to wrap up. I'm interested in the role that we as artists can have as a bridge between work that is happening in one space to communicating it in another space. Do you have any thoughts on the role of arts and specific? I mean, you're very creative. We work a lot with scientists who are also creative but might not consider themselves to be. I'm interested in if you have any thoughts on the role of arts within this space, within the climate space.
I think art can help us communicate with each other without words, right? And I think we need that at COP. Like, I don't know where you're from, which culture, we are from different culture. And all of us are here to talk about solution for nature. And I just feel that, how can we communicate? The universal language, there's the two universal language that we need is music and art. So maybe all the world leaders should, rather than negotiate the statement, should recreate the poem and use that negotiation as a poem back to their country to communicate to their local, to their people. We need art to communicate. We don't need only just one formal English language. We need more than one language. But now we only use one. So yes.
And art is how we connect with how we feel. It's how we connect with humanity. It's how it kind of bridges those differences between us, right? So thank you for the opportunity to come here and share this work in this space. Thank you, Koch, for your generosity and inviting us to kind of work with you and bring in Blue to make this film. We're super pleased with it, and we really hope it's useful for you.
Yes.
And that it has a life now. Now it will be in the world.
We should do the opening in Bangkok.
Yes.
At the canal.
Thank you so much for listening.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, thank you.